So during that process then, what have you learned?
So the learning curve has been rapid, as you would imagine. And there's a number of things. I think critically, one of the things we learned very early on is don't try and replicate exactly what you would have done during a physical event. So if you were previously having 200 people at the Forest of Arden, it was going to be a 9-hour event with coffee breaks, etc. You mustn't try and replicate that in a virtual world. And we'll come on to why, but that's too long for people to be watching, etc., etc. So we learned that very, very quickly up front. One of the things I learned extremely quickly was that I was blinding our presenters with the technology. Now, if we were running an event at Stoneleigh Park or the NEC or wherever, I wouldn't bring a presenter into the room and take them behind the AV desk and introduce them to all the guys in black t-shirts and show them all the buttons and all the toys and all the kit and explain how it all works. But we were doing a bit of that when we started off back in March and April. And I think quite quickly we realized that instead of calming our presenters down and reassuring them and checking their content and what have you, we were actually scaring the living daylights out of them. So by the time they went to present, they were on the back foot, shall we say. So we rectified that very quickly, and actually now it's extremely simple for a presenter to come online into our studio. It's literally one click on a link and they're in. Another thing that we've learnt with presenters is that we need to encourage them to present normally. If you're standing in front of an audience of 200 or 300 people, you would present in a certain way, and actually presenting in the virtual world is not that different. You have the tools at your disposal of films and animations and slides and what have you. Keeping it brief is something that we've learnt, and we'll come on to, I think, towards the end of this, but definitely keeping it brief in the virtual world is going to be much more impactful. And coming back to content's always important with live events, but I think even more so in the virtual world. It's not really good enough just to have a PowerPoint slide with a bunch of text on it and you sitting side by side with that picture. You need to be slightly more engaging with an audience that is slightly more difficult to engage with. So I think lots and lots of learnings, but I think those learnings are standing us in good stead for the events we're delivering at the moment.